Yo, what's up? That's all you got for 2021? I thought y'all be a little more excited the way 2020 went, but man, I'm pumped. I'm ready to go. Like it's a new year. It's a new year. I know there used to be a saying, new year, new me. No. New year, same me, but a little bit more fire to it. That's all I'm saying. I'm coming with a little more. Yeah, come on, let's do it. I'm excited. See, all right, some of you are just scared because I'm yelling already, but I need to let you know something about me, something you should know before we get into this tonight. I am what I like to call, what some people laugh at, I'm what I call a hollaback preacher. So what I'm gonna need you to do is that tonight, if I say something that resonates with you, something that hits you in the chest, and you're like, oh, he's in my business. He read my mail, seen my laundry, seen my underwear hanging up, all the stuff. Like, he knows everything about my life. If I'm in your business, or if you like what I'm saying, even if you don't like what I'm saying, just say, oh, that's good. It make me feel better. Amen. You better say that. You better say that, boy. Preach. Stand up, clap your hands, stomp your feet, do the hokey pokey, or do whatever you want to do. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing that we want to create in this space, and that is that church is not boring. Jesus is not lame, but actually this is the most fun and the most life that there is. It's a life with Jesus. It's the best life there is. Trust me, I've seen it. I've been on the other side. I've lived it the other way, and I'm telling you, trust me, from a 29-year-old dude that's messed up a lot is better here. Is better here. And you have a space here. You might be in your first time ever being back in church, 2021. That might be a New Year's resolution for you to even be here. You're welcome here. You don't have to be perfect to be here. You can be messy and be here. You can be committing a crime and be here, but we're going to work it out. We're not going to call the police on you, but every single person has a space in this place. That you can belong before you believe, and that you can belong before you behave. That's what we believe here in this place, because that's the way that Jesus found me. And every single breath that I got left in me, I'm going to preach it like that, because that's what changed me. So, I'm excited, if you can't tell. I hope you are too. 2021, as y'all know, each semester I come in with a new series, a new thing, and I'm going to be honest with you. I found out what the series title was 5 minutes ago. Y'all not excited about that? Like, God's still speaking? Come on. So, 2021, we are in a series titled, Your Next 5 Years. Your next 5 years. Touch your neighbor and say, your next 5 years. You're like, wait, hold on. What's going on in 5 years? We just got to 2021. I don't want to think about another year. I don't want to do none of that. But no, your next 5 years, the reason why I thought of that title, and the reason that God's placed that on my heart is because I believe in the next 5 years of your life, you're going to be dealing with some of the biggest questions, the biggest transitions, and the biggest moments in your life. That doesn't change after this 5 years is over. There's more moments to come, but for a lot of you, you graduate in 5 years or less than. Some of you are in high school. Some of you are in college. Some of y'all are about to go to grad school, get married. Before that, find a boo thing, or not be single. Me, it's been taking a little bit longer, but it might just, your next 5 years could happen. You got a career. You can have babies in 5 years. That's crazy. Okay, I'm gonna just pull that one back, put it in the pocket, okay? Now, but your life can change in 5 years. Your life can change in 1 year. But I believe that this is the most important moments of your life. You make the biggest decisions that you're ever gonna make. You decide the person that you're gonna be. You decide the place you're gonna go, the place you're gonna live, the person you're gonna spend your life with, the God you're gonna serve, or you're gonna serve yourself. You make that decision in these 5 years. And so because of that, I wanna talk about some real things from this book that I believe can inform our next 5 years, so that we can be people that we want to be and not just the people that we just automatically become because we just live in life normal. Yeah? So in this series, we're going to talk about relationships. We're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about how to figure out what to do with your future, how to hear God's voice. We're going to talk about all of that. So get ready, buckle up, saddle up if you howdy, country boy, I love you. Our next 5 years. I'm pumped. So, I'm keeping the title secret till the end, but for this one, we're starting it off a little bit. You could probably guess where we're going to go. It's 2021, it's a new year. And a big thing that I think that never really gets talked about from the stage, most places, is change. yes, you need to change is normally talked about up here, but how do I change? How do I change? So I want to jump into that. If you have a Bible, we are going to be in 2 Kings chapter 5. 2 Kings chapter 5. Some of you are like, hold on, there's a 2 Kings? Let me help you out. It's in the Old Testament. So if you just open the very front, it's Genesis. Then it's going to go Exodus. Then it's going to go Leviticus. Then it's going to be, or Numbers, Leviticus, Deuteronomy. Then it's all the rest of them. Okay, anyway, first, second, Joshua, Judges, Ruth, 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st Kings, and then 2nd Kings. So that's where we're going to be at. There you go. I grew up in church. My mom and dad made me a quiz. Awana's made it happen. I did it for the candy. I'm going to be honest. But we're going to be in 2 Kings chapter 5. Just a little bit of context as you turn there. 2 Kings is all about these northern kings of Israel. So see what has happened. Just a quick flash through the Bible right quick. God has taken his people, Israel, from Abraham, who made a promise. He said, hey, I'm going to bless you. I'm going to multiply you. I'm going to make you a nation, and I'm going to make you bless the world through you. That's what he says. Genesis 15. That's what happens. So Abraham is Isaac, and then Jacob, and then Israel is his name after he wrestles with God. And then he has 12 sons. Those 12 sons, they sell their brother Joseph into slavery, right? Y'all know the story? Coat of many colors? Yeah. Okay, we good? So then, guess what? They grow up. Exodus happens. They're enslaved in Egypt for 400 years. God raises up a man named Moses. Moses takes him out of Egypt and he takes him through the wilderness to the promised land. But before he can get there, they decide, whoa, hold up. We're not trying to go off in there. They got giants there. We're not built like that, okay? So they die in the wilderness. I'm sorry, that's just truth. That's what's happened. It happened in the story. Anyway, then Joshua takes the next generation into the promised land. Yes, they conquer the land, and then they have these consecutive group of guys that they call judges. And these judges, they're not very great. It's kind of like the toilet bowl of the Bible, just getting worse and worse and worse and worse, right? And so from there, Ruth happens. Ruth is a lady that you need to read about. Praise God for women. Women power. Let's go, okay? If you want to see how God feels about women, read Ruth, okay? She's great. She's super great. Then Ruth comes, 1st and 2nd Samuel, right? That's what David, Saul, Goliath. Y'all know the stories? David establishes the kingdom of Israel, right? Then he has a son named Solomon who's really wise, but also really dumb. Isn't that funny how you can be real smart, but real dumb at the same time? Sin will do that to you. Hold on. This is not even my sermon. Let me chill. But after Solomon, because he turns away from the Lord, God takes the kingdom out of his hand and it splits into two places, north and south, Israel and Judah. That is the context of where we are in Kings. Kings is the record of these kings that consistently failed and turned away from God, right? It's just one after another. They're bad. It's just what it is. That's what's happening. So in this story in particular, God has raised up a prophet by the name of Elisha. There's a guy named Elijah who's before him, but we're talking about Elisha, okay? All right. So that's context. That's where I gave you the whole Bible. That quick. You're welcome. I got to teach a little bit before I preach a little bit, because if you don't know context, you don't know where you're at. You're not going to know what's going on in the text. You're going to be like, who is this person? Why does this matter? What is God trying to do in the story? If you don't know what God's trying to do don't let me go. I was about to get to preaching, I promise you. Some of you in your life, let me go ahead and get into it. People see this part of your story, but they don't know your context. That's why people don't have grace for you, because they don't know what you've been through. And the same reason why sometimes some of you judge people in here is because you don't know the context of their story either. So maybe before we jump to conclusions, maybe we can get to know the story and know the context of what's happening. Y'all gonna make me stomp my feet. If y'all not gonna shout me down, I'll shout myself down. That's just what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do. Okay. That's just to the text. I gave you plenty of time. If you're not in 2 Kings 5, you're wrong. You should be there, all right? Sweet, let's get into it. Verse 1 through verse 14, it says, Naaman, commander of the army of the king of Syria, was a great man with his master and is in high favor, because by him the Lord had given victory to Syria. He was a mighty man of valor, but he was a leper. Now the Syrians, on one of their raids, had carried off a little girl from the land of Israel. She worked in the service of Naaman's wife. She said to her mistress, would that my Lord were with the prophet who is in Samaria. He would cure him of his leprosy. So Naaman, he went in and he told his lord the king, thus and so spoke the girl from the land of Israel. And the king of Syria said, go now, and I will send a letter to the king of Israel. So he went, taking with him 10 talents of silver, 6,000 shekels of gold, and 10 changes of clothing. I can't even talk. Is my mouth working? Clothing. Just so you know, That's about $4 million. Bank, okay? Continue, back into that was the BS Blake Sander version, okay? And he brought the letter to the king of Israel, which read, when this letter reaches you, know that I have sent you, Naaman, my servant, and that you may cure him of his leprosy. It's hard to read, the letter's a little. And when the king of Israel read the letter, he tore his clothes and said, am I God to kill and make alive, that this man sends word to me to cure a man of his leprosy? Only consider and see how he is seeking a quarrel with me. But when Elisha, the man of God, heard that the king of Israel had torn his clothes, he sent to the king saying, why have you torn your clothes? Let him come now to me, that he may know that there is a prophet in Israel. So Naaman, he came in with his horses and his chariots, and he stood at the door of Elisha's house. And Elijah sent a messenger to him, he's cold-blooded, saying, go and wash in the Jordan 7 times, and your flesh shall be restored, and you shall be clean. But Naaman was angry and went away saying, behold, I thought that he would surely come out to me and stand and call upon the name of the Lord his God and wave his hand over the place and cure the leper. Are not Abana and Paraphar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? Could I not wash in them and be clean? So he turned and he went away in rage. But his servants came near to him and said, my father, it is a great word that the prophet has spoken to you. Will you not do it? Has he actually said to you, wash and be clean? So he went down and he dipped himself 7 times in the Jordan, according to the word of the man of God, and his flesh was restored like the flesh of a little child, and he was clean. I want to work from the title tonight, Don't Stop at 6. Y'all not hearing me. Touch your neighbor and say, don't stop at 6.
Don't stop at 6.
Y'all got to say it with a little bit more energy than that, because I'm telling you, that title is cold, okay? Don't stop at 6. You might need to write that down. Tattoo it on your arm. Don't stop at 6. Because it's going to mean something. You don't know it yet, but it does mean something. That's why I was talking funny. I was thirsty. Okay. We're in it, right? No, but like I was saying before, you know, as a new year comes, and especially after a year like 2020, we are kind of in a place where we really got a good look at ourselves. Like, let's be honest. Out of all the years that we actually got good. You know, everybody's making fun of the 2020 vision things. It kind of took 2020 for us to see ourselves for who we really are. We're stuck in our house. We don't have people around us. We probably fell back into some old stuff that we thought were behind us, right? We probably went to some old things that we used to bring comfort. Yeah? Just me? Yeah. You know, I think that years like 2020, they lead us to a place where we see we need to make a change. In every start of a new year, that's the new thing, the resolutions. Hey, I'm going to be this year. I'm going to do this year. I want to make a change this year. And I think that's great. I really do. But there's a thing, and it's funny because it's become so known that preachers talk about us not being able to fulfill the New Year thing. It makes me wonder if we're doing it wrong. You know what I'm talking about? Where it's like the common phrase is like, well, how many days in before you messed up on your New Year's resolution thing, right? We just kind of blow them off and we just stop doing them. Where New Year, New Me turned into New Year, Same Me, but in a negative way. Or New Year, New Me was actually New Year, Same You 2.0. That's all that was. And I just was thinking about that, and I was like, man, why is it so hard to change? Why is it so hard to change? You know, there's a saying that says people don't really change. Oh, you heard that? People don't really change. And I think the crazy thing about it is like negative as that sounds, part of that's really true. Because I think there's some things about change that we don't realize. That change is actually bound up in a few things, and it's not just a one-time decision, it's a process. And that change often takes time, and sometimes longer than 1 year. Sometimes it takes a long time to change. And I think because sometimes it takes a long time to change, we get frustrated with change, and so we give up. Anybody there? Where you try to make a change and you just keep finding yourself in the same place, and you wonder, man, is God really real? Is he really doing miracles? Is he still out there? Because I keep on trying to do the thing he told me to do, but I still can't change. Anybody there? Yeah. And tonight, I want to give you something that I wish I would have gotten a whole long time ago. A true, clear look at what change looks like. Because I think at times we just realize that we need to and don't realize what it takes to change. Does that make sense? Someone can tell you all day, hey, you need to go do this, but until they tell you how to do it, you're never going to figure out how to do it by yourself. And I don't want to be one of those preachers that just tells you need to change, because that's not it. I don't think that's God's heart either. I think God wants you to change because he's got life for you on this side. But I think at times we can get so caught up in that process and we lose ourselves in it, and so we quit. And that's why this sermon title is Don't Stop at 6. And I want to look at this story from this man named Naaman, who wasn't an Israelite. He was a person outside of it. I want to look at his life, and I want to look at some of the things about it that I believe can speak to change. It can speak to the things that we just run up against, the ceilings that we keep hitting when we try to change. And from his life, I want to pull out some things that I think would be helpful for us. Y'all ready for that? Let's get into it. My first point. Man, if you want to see change in your life, if you want to see healing in your life, growth in your life, you got to get desperate. You got to get desperate. Some of y'all are like, oh man, I don't want to be desperate like that. That just seems kind of like needy. I'm like, I'm good. I'm being desperate, bro. But no, I think that desperation actually is a key to change, because things that you're not willing to deal with, they just become things that you just like, they're just normal to you. When things are desperate, it's life or death. There's urgency to it. I don't think that we're ever going to really step into change unless we make it urgent. In this story, this man Naaman, it says that he is this commander, this amazing man of valor, this warrior who brought victory to his king. This great, great man, right? He was in high favor, enough that his master would give him $4 million for him to get healed. How crazy would that be? I don't love anybody enough to give away $4 million. Period. Maybe my nephew, but I would probably want some of it back. Anyway, $4 million. He just trusted, he believed so much in this man that he was worth so much to this king that he would give that to him. He was this great guy, a victor, a commander, but he had this issue. He was a leper. And the really cool thing about the Bible that I don't think that a lot of people understand is that a lot of when you read the Bible, it's not the words on the page, it's the things that are in between the lines. Follow me. Here we go. I know some of you are like, what are you talking about? I'm about to show you. Because when you just look at it at face value, you miss the picture that this author is actually trying to create about this guy. This word leper, it's not just a illness thing that they're talking about. It's an identification word. Hear me. If he was a man that had leprosy, he has an issue, right? He's a leper. That's who he is. It's an identifier. So what that would mean is that leprosy, if you know anything about leprosy at all, leprosy starts really small. It's a skin disease. And what it does, leprosy, it starts as a spot and it begins to grow. It begins to grow on your body, especially your hands and your feet and your face. In this spot, what it would do is it attacks the nerves of your skin and your hands, and what will eventually happen is it feels like fire all the time inside of your nerves, and at the end of it, it will actually cut off feeling to your hands. And so then if anything happens to your hands, your fingers will begin to fall off. Your nose will begin to fall off. It's very gruesome. It's a very not cool thing to have, right? There's a stigma with this. This thing is bigger than just like, that's gross. This is like, you're an outcast. There's a thing about it that's so repulsive that people don't want anything to do with it. And the thing about it is, because he's a leper, it's already progressed to a place where everybody can see it. So what that tells me before this, just to take a little bit of a look back into his past, is that this man, he probably would have found that spot. He was probably leading an army, winning victories and doing all this stuff, and then he realized something about himself. And his first reaction would probably be to conceal and cover the thing that was going on. Because what would happen in that society is if you had leprosy, the first thing that would happen is they would remove you from your family. They would remove you from your people. They would remove you from your job. Everything about your life would change. And so this man, what that leper part of it tells me is that it had gone so much that this private issue that he had, that he concealed and could hide and act like it wasn't that big of a deal, has become a big deal. A private battle has now become a public struggle. Some of us in here, the very thing that keeps us from changing is that whenever we find an issue or a thing that starts out really small, we don't deal with it, we try to hide it. We try to conceal it and go about life like it's not really that big of a deal. Oh, it's just a private thing I'm dealing with. It's not hurting anybody. It's not affecting anybody else. That addiction that you're dealing with in the dark that nobody knows about is actually affecting your life, so much so that little thing that you think is completely just that part of your life, this segmented reality, the reality of that thing is actually producing things that people can see publicly. Y'all not hearing me? That broken heart that you have creates trust issues, right? And those trust issues turn to manipulation. It turns to things that want to keep people that once abandoned you. So now you have red flags in relationships because you have a hurt spot that you don't want to deal with. Look, man, I'm about to get to preaching on some of y'all in here because I'm telling you, like, this little thing that you want to change feels like it's okay to have. Oh, it's just this. It's just pride. It's just a little bit of bitterness. It's just a little bit of, and we try to just make a way around it to make it okay, presentable. But the reality is that thing is eating us alive, and it's no longer just private, it's now become public. And that the longer that we continue just to try to hide our issues, the longer it takes us to change. Because here's the deal. I'll be this straight up real with you right now. I'm 29 years old. There's some things that I refuse to deal with at a younger age that I'm reaping the benefit, or not the benefits, the repercussions of that at this age right now. Because I had some things in my life that I thought that weren't big of a deal, and I covered them up, and I just kept them to myself and didn't tell anybody about them. I'm dealing with them right now. Here's the deal. You get to choose when these things surface. You do. You can wait till it's a problem, where it's a public problem, or you can deal with it when it's still a private issue. You get to choose when you're desperate. Choose early, don't choose late. Choose early when you see an issue. Deal with it in the moment. Don't wait. Because 5 years from now, 10 years from now, that thing's going to show up in your marriage that you thought would never be there. It's going to show up in how you raise your kids that you thought would never be there. That thing inside of you that's even just an emotional thing that's broken, not even something sinful that you're doing, just an idea that you're holding on, it's going to show itself. That's the way we work. That's the way people work. And here's the thing, God is so faithful, and he's so faithful. He's faithful enough to let it come up in the future so that you can deal with it. This thing that was once private is now public. And the thing that often keeps us from changing is dealing with private issues before they become public ones. Let's be people that don't hide, but people that get urgent and get desperate to change. The second part, and this is the second part of what he's going through in this story, it's funny because when you actually look at it, you wonder why there's certain information in the story. Why is that included? You should always ask that question. If you're reading your Bible, you don't understand, ask, why is that there? Even if it seems like super normal. Oh, that's like nothing. It's probably something. And what I mean by that is this. There's a contrast between these two people. It's a nobody in the story and this man named Naaman, right? Naaman, commander of the army of the king of Syria, a great man with his master and in high favor. Because of him, the Lord had given victory to Syria. He was a mighty man of valor, but he was a leper, right? That's 5 things to talk about how great he is. Not only that, if you knew anything about Hebrew, there is this word, that mighty man of valor. It's called, the Hebrew phrase is Gibor Hayil. You don't know what that is at all, and it's fine. You don't need to know it. But here's the deal. Nobody outside of the people of Israel is called a Gibor Hayil except him. That's significant. A dude that has nothing to do with the people of God is called a thing that only the greatest, like a David, would be called in this book. That's interesting. That should give off a warning signal whenever you read it. Anyway, just for you. Sometimes it's good to know things, you know? You would never know that. That's interesting. I'm a Bible nerd, so I'm going to freak out about that. Anyway, so that's that, right? Now, and then this part, right after it, immediately after, verse 2. Now the Syrians, on one of their raids, had carried off not just a girl, but a little girl. A little girl from the land of Israel. And she worked in the service of Naaman's wife. Okay, let's just contrast this, right? Let's contrast this. This dude is a commander of an army. who had won against the people of Israel. He is a Gibor Hayil. He's a mighty man of valor. He's a great warrior. This dude is, God, think about Justin Bieber. He's a big deal. He's Justin Bieber, okay? He's Justin Bieber. I don't know if you like, Sean Min, I don't know who you like, okay? Harry Styles. Except he has hands and will whoop everybody, okay? That's him, okay? That's him, all right? But then in contrast, there is this other person. She's a little girl. Not only that, but she's a slave. She's been taken, right? We're talking about the highest socioeconomic status, so much so that he could go directly to the king and get $4 million from him and be in this other little girl who works in his house, zero status, nothing good. Like, she is not even an afterthought. Sorry, that's the way culture worked then. What's so crazy about this story is this man listens to a girl who has zero business even talking to him. So much so that he goes to the king with information that she gave him. What does that tell me? It ought to tell you that he was desperate. Why? Because he tried everything else. He tried everything else. When the moment that he knew that he had leprosy, I guarantee you this man would have had any and every physician, doctor, medication that he ever could have wanted. He had all of it. But guess what? It didn't work. It didn't work. See, the thing that we often try to do, like he did, is that when we have an issue, we don't just always just try to hide it, but some of us don't even hide it. We just try to medicate it. We just go to a thing that gives us comfort to try to deal with symptoms, not with roots. Yeah? Let me put it in a picture like this. I have a nephew. I just recently, he's about a year and a half now, and this is one of his favorite toys, okay? I hope he was okay with me borrowing it. I literally stole this from my parents' house. I hope he's not mad, sorry. But no, man, I got this nephew. His name is Caden, and my gosh, he's my favorite thing on the planet. I'm just gonna be honest. He's great. Honestly, I'm a little mad at him right now because we've been working on BB, but he's not saying BB yet. He's saying the dog's name though. That's the thing that's got me mad. He's saying Zeta, and I'm like BB. I'm literally in this little boy's face. Say BB, and he's like, no, I'm not saying BB. But what he'll do is he'll come into the house and he'll want to play with his toys. Sometimes he gets a book and he's just like, here you go, read this to me, and we'll sit and we'll read. And there's one that has like a blue button that sings Jesus Loves Me. And he doesn't actually like the song, he just likes pressing the button. So it's just the beginning part of the thing. But all that to say, I love this little boy. But he's a year and a half. He's still figuring things out. He's trying to see how things work. Just the way his brain works. You know what I'm saying? He's in development, okay? He's in development. Some would say I'm still in development, that you're still in development. That's okay. We're humans. We're always in development, right? But what he does, and the thing that I notice about him is that he doesn't like direction. He just doesn't. And so what he'll do is he'll bring this over to me and he'll make me hold it. And he'll grab one of these little toys. There's a lot of them in there, but he'll grab one. And what he will do is he'll come to each one of these little things, right? And what he'll do is do this. And I'm like, no, buddy, that's not the one. That's not it. Try again. Hey, bro, no. Use your brain. You know what I mean? I'm not as gracious as God is, but but he's 1.5, so it's cool. I'm like, nah, try this one. No. And he never actually finds it, even if I'm pointing at it. It's that one. It's that one. That's what he'll do. But so what's funny about my nephew is that even though he's 1.5, that's something that we do. That we were designed to go a certain way, but instead we want to try other things. This relationship is going to work. being the person that people want to party with and want to spend time with because you're fun and because you enable them to do their own things that they actually need to change for because life is being taken from them there. You just want to keep trying to fit in the thing. And here's the thing about it. You think it's dumb for a 1.5-year-old, but here's the problem. If it wouldn't even go in a little bit, he wouldn't deal with it. It's because it kind of works at the beginning. See, some of you in here keep on trying to make it work because at first it started to work. You keep finding yourselves in the same relationship over and over and over again because at first it feels great. At first it feels like they really love you. At first it feels like they're not going to leave you and be there forever. I know y'all heard that song. What's the song name, Sarah? What's your song? What's the song? So yeah, so we want to listen to Driver's License. And then you want to drive around Nacogdoches sad, listen to sad music. You want to do that? No, but you keep trying to go to the same old things and trying to make them fit, but guess what? It's not going to work. Because if it was going to work, it would have worked by now. That thing you keep running to, it would have worked if it was going to work by now. And I hear God shouting from heaven, that's not the one. That's not the one. It's not him. It's not her. That's not the job I want you to walk in. That's not the calling I put on your life. That's not even the major that you're supposed to be in. You keep on trying to make stuff fit because you think it's going to make you feel better. It's going to make the symptoms go away. That's going to bring comfort when all you feel is pain. That you think is going to make you feel like you're worth something. But guess what? You're never going to find it here. The only way you're ever going to find it is if you find the one who designed you to work a certain way. It's the only way. It's the only way. So Naaman, he's in a place. Why? Why is he listening to a little girl? He got tired of doing it his own way. He went to someone that he never should have trusted. He went to someone that was actually an enemy to his people. Someone that was of low social status that would have zero reason to even speak to him. And he takes her at her word and he takes her to the king and he says, there's a man in Israel that can heal me because this little girl said it. This little girl said this and that. Thus and so is what it says, which just means this and that. She said this and he's like, all right, go. He's desperate. I mean to tell you, God is waiting for some desperate people. Some people in this room that are tired of the status quo, who are tired of hiding issues, who are tired of going to old things that never work, but someone's going to take God at his word and say, God, I'm not trying nothing else. I just want you. I don't want nothing else. That doesn't work. I've been there before. I've done that twice. I've actually done that 4 times, and I keep on finding myself in the same place, in the same cycle, feeling the same stuff, and I'm done doing that. I'm done. I'm not stupid. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over, thinking different results. That is insane. You are not insane. You're just not desperate. You just got to be desperate to change. You got to let it get into a deep place knowing that, man, I can't keep living life my way. Because the thing that I think that I want is actually killing me. And I need God to come in and change me. You got to get desperate. My second point. Ah, man, that's good. I hope I didn't break his toy. But my second point is he comes and he brings it says his chariots and his horsemen. He brings his entire army with him. Not only that, but he brings this money with him, right? And the king gets this letter and he says, oh my gosh, like, I don't know what you want me to do, bro. I can't do that. I can't heal anybody. Who am I? Can I kill and make people alive? No. But Elisha, this prophet, he stands up and he says, send him to me. He himself says, send him to me, right? And Naaman, he shows up and he gets something that he didn't expect. He shows up with his chariots and his horsemen, this display of power. Not only that, but also with his money. And he shows up to Elisha's door. I'm here, ready to get healed. Got all my bros with me. I got the boys with me. I'm ready to get healed. Where my miracle at? And Elisha's so cold-blooded. What does he do? He don't even go to the door. He gets his homie to go to the door. Hey, bro, you got it. He sends a messenger to him. Can you imagine the disrespect in that moment? Could you imagine? Bro, hold on. You texted me to come over here. You sent a carrier pigeon. I don't know what you did. You wanted me to come to you and you're not even going to come out here? And what's crazy is my man got like people with him. He like, bro, I'll come and knock your house down. I'll be the big bad wolf in here and I will blow your house down if you don't stop playing with me. Come outside. He doesn't do it. He sends him a messenger, and it says that he got angry. Got angry. I feel like God telling me, don't be. This one's good. I really feel like he's talking to me right now. God, man. Whew. I think sometimes that we don't like the package that God sends messages to us, that we can get offended by what he sends. I'm here to tell some of you don't need to get offended by who God sends to you. That person in your life that you're like, maybe they got something to say to you. Don't get offended by the person that God sends, but not only that, don't get offended by God's process. My second point is don't get offended by God's process. Why? He tells him, hey, if you want to be healed, go to the Jordan and wash 7 times, and you'll be healed. And he walks away mad. He says, I thought when I showed up here that you would come out and you would stand and you would call on the name of the Lord your God and wave your hands and cure the leper. He disassociates himself from his actual issue, by the way. He doesn't say my issue, he says the leper, like it's not him. You ever had an issue where you're like, oh, that ain't me? It is you, okay? You the leper, that's you. Own your issue, 1. But he says, man, I thought you were going to come and just wave your hands and it's going to be gone. And he got offended and he got angry and he said, I'm leaving. How many of us in this room have got offended by the method that God has used to change us? We get into this place, new year, new me, and we say, hey, God, I'm going to be in my word this year. And guess what? Lord, if I pray, you get like this, Jesus, I'll pray every day if you send me my boo. God, if you send me my man or my girl, I will not ever leave your presence. I'll listen to worship music. I'll listen to Bethel Hillsong, Maverick City music, everybody in name mama till my speakers blow out if you just send me my girl. You think I'm playing. God, if you would just take away this issue from me, God, if you would just make her no woman attractive on this earth ever again, God, if you would just make me not see anybody. I'm serious. Y'all do this. Y'all be struggling with lust. God, take it away from me. Don't make me a man no more. Just make me Barbie and Ken. That's all I want. No, but you want, I'm being funny. But the thing is, man, you want this miraculous thing to just change, and that's not the way God works. Not all the time, at least. Hear me. God will move in a moment. But oftentimes, God loves you too much to work in a moment. From my experience, God works in moments. That God is not an instant. He is not a microwave miracle God, but he's a process God. He's a crock pot God. Yeah. Cooking is slow, real slow. And here's the deal. We think that we come to God with an issue that we actually know is going on. That's the problem. You think that issue is really the issue. Naaman thinks his issue is leprosy. His real issue is pride. He would never know that. Why? Because he's not willing to go through process. Don't be offended by the process that God takes you through. Some of you in here are so frustrated with God that you said, I tried God in 2020, man. I tried praying. I tried reading my Bible. I tried giving. I tried serving. I tried that. I've been here. I've been in church my whole life. I tried it. I tried it already. That ain't working either. I'm on God. We get frustrated, we get mad, and we leave. We leave the church, we leave God, and we go back to our old stuff. And we think that he doesn't work. He just didn't work as fast as you wanted him to. Because God is trying to shape you. He's trying to mold you. If he did it instantly, he would rob you of growth. He would rob you of growth. My nephew, when he was first growing up, he would love me to carry him. Guess what? If I never put him down, he ain't never going to walk. You got to fall to learn how to walk. I don't know if y'all remember or not. You got to fall to learn how to run. You got to get up and you got to do it again. And you got to do it again. You got to go through process to learn. You got to go through process to grow. My question to you is, are you willing to submit to the process even if it takes you time? Are you willing to submit to that process of God healing your heart and healing your family even if it takes you 5 years? And are you willing to do the thing that he asked you to do, even when you don't feel like it? Because here's the deal. Faith is not in your feelings. Faith is in your feet. It's in your feet. Because here's the deal. Faith is movement in the absence of right feelings. It's real cute to sing Oceans. It's real cute. It's real cute to sing Maverick City. I want to be tried by fire until stuff starts burning. I want to be tried by fire. No, you don't. No, you don't. You say you want to go through things, but when God actually puts you through them, that's when you're like, God, you're not doing what you said. I thought we had a deal, God. I thought you was going to work in my life the way that wait, who's God? You or him? Right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. God loves you too much to let him do it your way. He loves you too much. He does. The way that God changes people is through process. And we have to be desperate enough and be willing enough to go through the pain that it costs to change. Because change is a thing that does cost you something. And sometimes it's not going to be the way that you think. There are places that I could have went better to wash, is what he says. There's 2 rivers that I know that are way better than the Jordan. Sometimes God's going to ask you to do something crazy that you think is completely disconnected from the thing that is actually trying to be healed. God, I want to be free from pornography. Hey, I want you to give to your local church. Whoa, God, that seems super disconnected. No, it's not. It's not. You want to control? You want to control and you want to have things your way? Any way you want it. It's like Burger King, have it your way. Tell me it's not. I can have whatever I want. I can click on whatever. I'm in somebody's business right now because I know. I can have it my way, whatever I want. But guess what? That moment that you start giving, you start to sow into something that's like, oh, wait, this is actually against what I want. So guess what? You're learning how to say no to things that you never would have said no to, but it's not the thing that you thought was actually the issue. The issue is you got to let go of control. Yeah. There's other things. There's serving. There are things that God's going to call you and ask you to do that are going to feel completely unrelated to your issue. But the thing about it is, if you walk in it, even if it doesn't make sense, you don't get offended by the process and how long it takes, it'll change you. Not just your issue, but it'll change your heart. My last point, and the one that we're coming to with this, is that he has this moment with the servants right after this. He leaves, he goes away in rage, and his servants come near to him and they say, my father, it's a great word that the prophet spoken to you. Will you not do it? Has he actually said to you, wash and be clean? So he went down and he dipped himself 7 times in the Jordan, according to the word of the man of God. And his flesh was restored like the flesh of a little child, and he was clean. You know, I found it peculiar, and I wondered why did Elisha make him wash 7 times? Why not 10? Why not 4? Why not 57? Why 7? That's right. Don't stop at 6. My last point is don't quit. The way that you change is by not quitting. This man in this moment, he had all his people with him. All of them. Can you imagine the embarrassment it would have taken for him to strip down to the broken parts of him so everything about him was exposed? To dip in this water. And y'all think it's just a cannonball into the water. No, this man would have done thorough washing. This would have probably taken days, not a moment. That he would have went in day 1 and washed. Nothing. Day 2, washed. Nothing. Could you imagine doing something that you believe that God told you to do, that he said by his word that he would heal you if you did it, but you saw no results? Would you keep going? Or would you stop? The reason why he made him do it 7 times is because each time he washed, it required faith. It required him to say, okay, I can't see it. I can't feel it. I still can see the thing on me. I'm still dealing with the issue that's in me. I can't do it. I'm doing the thing you told me to do. Some of you in here have been trying to do the thing you told him to do, and you're like tired. You're tired. You're tired of doing it. God, are you going to come through? Are you going to heal me? You told me you would, but it's not in the time frame that I thought you would. Are you going to keep going, or are you going to stop? Are you going to stop at 6, or are you going to go to 7? See, the thing about this is, and the thing that I think that we need to get inside of us is that we begin to, if we stop at 6, we never can taste the change that has for us on the end of it. We have to give ourselves over to that process over and over and over again, even when we can't see results. And here's the deal. God is, and I'm just so convinced of this, and just seeing in my own life, there are things that God has not promised me that I don't know, that none of us know. But there are some things he's asked me to be faithful in. And my choice to be faithful, even though I don't know the outcome, is faith. Of me taking a step and believing and doing the thing he called me to do, even when I can't see results, even when it's not on my timetable, even when it's not the way I expected. I have 2 choices. I can get offended and quit, or I can keep going. And I believe God. I just hear God shouting from heaven, don't you quit. Don't you dare quit. Don't you dare quit. Some of you in here are thinking about giving up on life because you've tried everything and it's not working. Don't you dare give up. Don't you dare stop at 6. Don't you stop at 6. Don't you quit. Don't quit. God has got so much in front of you. He's got so much life in front of you. He's asking you to trust him. That's it. He's asking you to trust him and do the thing he told you to do last. It's all he's asking. It's all he's asking. My favorite thing about this, and as we wrap up and as the band comes up, man, I think we can get so caught up in the results that we forget what God's actual purpose is. We think he wants something from us. Hey, just right living, right thing, do the right thing the right way, all that stuff. We think that's the point. It's not the point. The point of this, and the thing that Naaman thought he was trying to be healed from, was his leprosy. The thing that God wanted to heal was his heart. In verse 11, it says, I thought that he would come out here and wave his hands and call on the name of the Lord, his God, and heal the leper. His God. Verse 16 and 17. It says that he came back and he told Elisha, there is no other God except the God that is in Israel. And I will not bow my knee and worship any other God but him. His God changed. God doesn't want to just fix your issue. He wants to change your heart. You can be healed and broken at the same time. Have no issue but be completely lost without life at the same time. And then also at the other moment, you could have the most life that you could ever have, walk in exactly what God called you to walk in, and have all kinds of mess all over you, so many issues and problems and circumstances that you're like, man, God, it feels like Alexander's good, bad, horrible, super terrible, whatever it is, bad day, like terrible day. I don't know the book. I just forgot. When you give a mouse a cookie. We like have a bad day. We've been having a bad month and a bad year. Maybe it's been a bad 5 years. And you're like, man, like this just doesn't seem worth it. God is calling you not to quit. God's calling you just to believe him. Just to believe him at his word. Because here's the thing that I actually love about this thing from the jump. And the reason why I picked it is not actually because he got healed. It's not because that it shows a good reason to change. It says something about this man Naaman. It says something more about God. Verse 1. You'd miss it if you were just reading it too fast. It says that the Lord, by him, the Lord gave victory to the king of Syria. I don't know if you know this or not, but that means God's hand was on him. God's hand was on him when he was an enemy. God's hand's been on you as you were an enemy, doing things your own way, living after your own thing, doing your own thing your whole life. And God loved you enough to still have his hand on you and say, hey, no, I know that you've walked away from me. I know that you've done things that you've regret. I know that you've been a person that you don't want to be and you want to change, but guess what? My hand has always been on you. My hand has never left you. I've known every moment of your life, every breath that you've breathed. I've held in my hand and I've looked at you and I said, I love you and I can't wait till you turn around. I got so much life for you when you turn around. Some of you in this room, you've been running. And you've been wondering, God, do you even care about me? Do you even love me? How could you ever love someone like me? And I'm here to tell you right now, God's hand has never left you. Every moment of your life has been numbered. Every hair on your head has been numbered. He's held every breath in his hand. He has not lost sight of you. He's not lost sight of you. Don't you dare quit. Don't you dare stop at 6. Keep going. Keep going. Get desperate. Get desperate to change. Get desperate to do the thing that God called you to do and he made you to do. Guess where life is? Don't get offended by the process he takes you on. Because guess what? It's not just about you. It's not just about you. God, there are people whose lives are going to change on the other side of your process. Don't you dare shortchange them. Don't you do it. Because guess what? Someone didn't shortchange themselves, and that's why you're here. That's why you're here. That's why I'm on this stage. I had 2 parents in the back who loved me so much, they prayed for me every day. Through all of my nonsense, through all of my running away, through all of my mess that I did when I was in college, the stuff that I wish I could rub off of me and just get off, but I can't because I did it, and I have to carry it with me. But guess what? God's let me lay it down. And that's the thing, yeah, that was me, but I'm not him no more. And that's why I can stand on the stage and believe for you. I don't care what you've been through. I don't care what you've done. God can change you. God's hand's on you. God's hand is on you. God wants to change your life tonight. He wants to change it in a moment, but guess what? He loves you too much just to change it right now. He wants to change it every day, the rest of the time you're breathing. The rest of the time you're breathing. So don't you dare quit. Don't you dare stop at 6. Don't you stop at 6. Let's worship.